Once upon a time, in a small, sunlit village, there lived a man who had 2 wives. His first wife was gentle and kind, and she gave him 2 sons. Unfortunately, life took a sad turn when his first wife fell gravely ill. Knowing her time was near, she called her sons to her bedside. She looked at them lovingly, her eyes heavy with sorrow but also filled with love. "My dear children," she whispered, her voice frail, "I am afraid I will not be with you much longer. Kiss me and say goodbye, for this is our last time together." The 2 boys, though young, sensed the gravity of her words. They leaned in, kissed her, and tried to hold back their tears. Her eldest son, holding her hand tightly, said, "Mother, what will happen to us? What if Father's second wife will not care for us?" Their mother placed a trembling hand on his cheek. "My children, do not be afraid. If you find yourself alone and hungry, go into the forest. There, you will find someone who will provide for you and keep you safe." And with that, she closed her eyes and drifted away, leaving her 2 boys in a world that suddenly felt much colder and emptier. The boys grieved for days, feeling the void left by their mother's absence. They tried to be brave but were painfully aware of their stepmother's indifference toward them. Soon after their mother's passing, they approached their father's second wife, their stepmother, and said timidly, "We are hungry. May we eat with you?" The stepmother, a sharp-tongued woman with little kindness in her heart, snapped, "Why should I feed you? I barely have enough for my own children. Leave me alone and fend for yourselves." The boys were shocked but knew there was little they could do. Their youngest brother, his voice trembling, looked at his elder sibling and said, "What will we do? I am so hungry." The older brother remembered his mother's words. "Don't worry. Remember what Mother said? Let's go into the forest. Perhaps we will find something to eat." So, hand in hand, they ventured into the forest. After wandering for hours, they came across a clearing where a gentle cow stood, grazing peacefully. As the boys approached, the cow lifted her head and seemed to understand their need. She walked over to them and, miraculously, allowed them to milk her. Day after day, the cow provided them with fresh milk and nourishment. The 2 boys would return to the forest each day, fed and content, and their spirits slowly lifted. They were no longer afraid. However, their stepmother's children soon noticed that their stepbrothers never seemed hungry and grew curious. "Where do you go every day, and why do you never ask for food?" One of the step-siblings asked suspiciously. The boys tried to evade their questions, not wanting to share their secret, but the oldest stepsister persisted. Finally, after days of begging, she convinced them to let her come along and see for herself. When she witnessed the cow feeding the boys, she rushed back to her mother and spilled the secret. Enraged by what she considered an insult, that her husband's sons had found sustenance without her permission, the stepmother devised a plan. The next day, she confronted her husband. "I am with child," she said, "and our baby will need strong nourishment. I need a cow to keep me healthy. There's a cow in the forest that feeds your sons. Bring it to me, or our baby will suffer." The husband, who loved his second wife deeply, reluctantly agreed. He went into the forest and, with a heavy heart, took the cow from his sons. He brought it back to his wife, hoping to reason with her, but her mind was made up. "Kill the cow," she commanded. "I need to eat its meat to strengthen myself for the child." The man tried to protest, but she was relentless. Finally, with no other choice, he approached the cow with a knife, preparing to end its life. As he tried to cut the cow's throat, an extraordinary thing happened. The cow refused to die. Despite his attempts, it stood there, unharmed. The furious stepmother, seeing her plan thwarted, turned her rage toward the boys. "If this cow will not die, then I will kill your sons," she declared. The boys, fearful for their lives, whispered to each other, "If we let the cow die, perhaps she will leave us alone." And with sadness, they allowed the cow to pass away. However, the cow's body continued to resist the stepmother's efforts. When she tried to skin it, the skin would not come off. Growing more frustrated, she threatened once more, "If this skin does not come off, I will kill the children." Terrified, the boys allowed the skin to be removed. Even then, the cow seemed to protect them. The meat refused to cook, and once again, the stepmother's fury flared. "If this meat does not cook, I will kill the children." She tried again and again, but nothing worked until the boys reluctantly wished for it to cook. Once she finally had her meal, the boys knew their safety was short-lived. "Our stepmother has killed the cow, and soon she will come for us," they said to each other. With no other choice, they ran away, deep into the forest. As night fell, they became separated in the thick woods. One brother went one way, and the other brother another. Lost and alone, each boy wandered through the years, facing hardships and making their way as best they could. They grew up apart, each unaware of the other's fate. Years passed. The older brother, now a man, stayed near the village and became skilled in survival. One day, he met a girl, the daughter of the village chief. She was beautiful, kind, and spirited, and they quickly fell in love. They began meeting in secret, unable to imagine a future without each other. The chief's daughter was the light of his life, and he was her strength. At that time, a fierce war had erupted between villages, and their love became a tale of courage and bravery. Each night, the young man would join the chief's warriors, fighting alongside them to protect his beloved's village. His courage and skill in battle became legendary, though his identity remained a mystery to all. One day, the chief called his warriors together. "Who is the stranger who fights with us every night?" he demanded. "I want to meet this brave man who stands beside me." The chief's men replied, "Perhaps your daughters know him. Ask them to bring their lovers." So, the chief called for his daughters, commanding them to reveal their beloveds. The young man, however, had fallen ill with smallpox and did not want to appear before the chief. But his beloved would not let him hide. She took his hand and led him forward. When the chief saw the young man, he recoiled. "Do you not see he is ill?" he cried, turning to his daughter. "Step away from him." But his daughter stood her ground, declaring, "Father, this man is the one who fights for you every night. He is brave and true. I love him, and I wish to marry him." Furious, the chief refused. But as he continued to argue, he suddenly felt an odd sensation on his head. He raised his hands to find that his head was growing, swelling at an alarming rate. Panic swept through the crowd, and they begged him to listen to his daughter. "If you let me marry him, Father, the swelling will stop," she pleaded. Reluctantly, the chief agreed, and as soon as he did, his head returned to normal. The village rejoiced, and the young man married the chief's daughter in a celebration that lasted for days. With his beloved by his side, the young man found peace and joy he had never known. And together, they lived a life full of happiness and harmony. Their love, forged through hardship and courage, became a tale passed down through generations as a testament to resilience and the power of love. and though he would always wonder about his lost brother, the young man knew his mother's love had guided him, bringing him to a new family and a new life filled with hope. They truly lived happily ever after. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others. Your support helps us keep creating valuable content. Thank you.